On to our next topic, which puts back to 12. Okay, so again, this let you guys know this is our last show before the end of 2018. So this will be our last show for
Is it really?
2017. It is because next week.
We should have. Oh man, I wish you had told me. I would have gotten like a quick list of like my favorite things that came out this year.
Right. Well, actually, no. Wait. Well, you know what? Actually, this may not be the last. Hang on. I'll be gone next week. Oh, wait, no. Okay, it's not the last show. I thought it was. I'll be back by the 31st. That's right. Okay. All right. Or before that. Okay. Well,
Oof.
we'll talk about it anyways.
What if we record an episode on the 30th instead? Because the 31st is New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that's true. I'll be fine with that. I'll be okay with that. We can talk a little bit about it here and probably cover more of it the next time. Okay, so
we'll talk about it after the podcast.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. But we'll talk a little bit about this topic for a little bit, and then we'll save the rest of it for when that show happens. But just in general, 2017 has been a pretty damn good year for gaming. And I don't say that lightly. Like the last time that there's been this many good games in one year, to me, was 2004, and there was plenty of just big, not only like big hitting games, but like very game changing as well. And just going back, like there's just been so many good games this year. Starting off the bat in January, there's Resident Evil 7, there was Nier Automata, there was Persona 5, there was Sonic Mania, there was Tekken 7. There's been so many good games. The majority of those games were actually single player games for the most part. When EA shut down Visceral Studios, there's a lot of questions like, are single player games dead? And are single player games going away? And to a lot of people that were like kind of worried about this, like they would point out like, well, this has been the best year for single player games. So there's definitely been a lot of good games that have come out this year, and I think that's why
it was so absurd to me when people were getting angry that people were getting so mad like that EA had canceled a single player game. It was like, are you kidding me? Look at this year.
Right.
The single player games are not dead by a long shot.
Yeah, not by a long shot. Like it has definitely been a hell of a year. Just so off the top of the head, off the top of my off the dome, I think that one of my favorite single player games of this year is, and I keep saying it, and so far it's been kind of getting Game of the Year awards from a few people, but it would be Nier Automata. Nier is my Game of the Year. The game is so good. It's beautifully crafted, given the fact that it was kind of tried by a bunch of lewd, pics of 2B in her butt. But I feel like that was on purpose, so that, yeah, coming for the sexiness, but then coming for the actual good game in story and questioning humanity and all that thing. And the way that, not to mention that, like the way that you think it ends, but actually it doesn't. Like you had to play the game continuously to find out what exactly is going on, and it's insane. It is. The soundtrack is just fantastic. Everything about that game I really love, and everything about Yoko Taro has put into that game is really, really cool. And the soundtrack is, again, it's awesome. Just off the dome. But again, we'll save some of this for the next time. But Greg, just off the dome, like any game that kind of stood out to you this year?
Shit, that's a good question. I mean, Mario Odyssey immediately is the first one that pops into my head, because that was the one that like I saw at the beginning of the year. I saw it at E3, and it just like constantly got me excited. But like there were a few titles that I think it's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to say because, again, I didn't really look at a list. I wish I did. I mean, you're showing one right now for me that was a big deal, because when it comes to Sonic games, like, I'm not super into Sonic games. Like, I didn't grow up playing them.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about Sonic games, I don't have a strong nostalgic feeling, or even I consider them not to be great games. But Sonic Mania was a legitimately great game.
Oh, yeah.
I had fun from beginning to end playing it. I'd say one thing that also stood out extremely well to me was Spectre Knight, the Shovel Knight
Oh,
DLC.
fuck yes. That game series has it's been so good. And then was it the King Knight ones coming out the next year? Um,
Yes, yes, yes. It's actually like I believe in March, February, or March is when the physical copy of Shovel Knight comes to the Switch, which I'm going to buy. For some
nice.
reason, I want the physical copy of that. I don't know why. I don't have to have the physical copy, but I want it. But it's but yeah, like that'll be the final definitive version of Shovel Knight. Um, and I'm very very excited for that. But that's next year talk. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I really wish I could think of something else that came out this year that really like. I mean, I could talk about the loser of 2018 or 2017,
Mm.
the company that easily had the worst year,
Oh, I mean that. Yeah, I mean that's yeah,
EA.
yeah, yeah.
They
Like
had two monumentally large releases this year that just got completely shit on.
oh yeah, yeah. That definitely. That definitely was a. I forgot about that. Yeah, that definitely was a huge thing that happened with EA, and not only what happened recently with Battlefront 2, but also with Mass Effect. So I forgot about that. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. EA did not have a good year PR wise. PR wise, they did not have a good year. I think that financially, I think they're okay. I want to say yes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the money they make off their sports franchise is insane. So,
Yeah.
like, they're not hurting. But you know that EA still wants to hold on to Star Wars, so they're going to do whatever they can to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere.
I think
Um,
I think that they're gonna lose. I'm still of the mind that they're gonna lose that license, the Star Wars
oh yeah, yeah,
license.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's my point. Is they're going to try to keep it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, but yeah, it's
Sorry, I'm looking at because I didn't get ready. I didn't get ready for the
okay,
Overwatch
gotcha,
minute.
gotcha. Now, oh, funny. All right. I was gonna say like yeah, EA didn't have a good year this year, PR wise. And I felt like when it comes to just in general, like what company had a good year this year. I think in general, when it came to some of the game releases, the ones that were successful are the ones that kind of surprise a lot of the company itself. It's like, oh, we actually sold a lot. Like again, going back to Resident Evil 7, like that game, Capcom was not expected to make that much with that game, and it exceeded their expectations in such a wide margin. On top of the fact that they didn't put that much money into making the game, like as far as like what their other games they made in the past, like that is probably one of the most low budget RE7 games they were to produce, but with what they got and whoever was at the helm to make that game was very creative and knew how to really play to the idea of like kind of hey, we got pretty lucky the fact that PT was closed down by Konami. We can actually pick up on this idea and run with it, and they did. It was perfect timing on that front. But yeah, like Capcom when it comes to Resident Evil 7, like that, far expected their numbers to be lower, but ends up being higher than they thought when that game came out.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that a big surprise was Tekken 7. Like Tekken 7 was a game that the Tekken series always looked beautiful, but like this year is when they really nailed it. It's not only the way it looks, the way it plays, but the story was actually pretty fun to watch. The multiplayer online is really good. The fact that they had the whole world tour also helped make sales. Same idea with Capcom Cup with Street Fighter 5, but with Tekken, it not only does it look good, there were some really cool mechanics as a viewer seeing slow motion of like two people fighting and like at the last hit like they collide and you don't know what's gonna happen is the hypest thing I've ever seen in a game. And more than likely we'll see that in Soul Calibur 6 when that comes out. So yeah, like I think the Tekken 7 was another big one. Although that one expectations were there, but I think that even then they sold a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
So you got anything, Greg, or you?
I was looking at. I was gonna pull up a list of all the games that came out this year. I know that Valera put one in chat, but I can't really click on it, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
Uh, yeah, man. PUBG was a huge hit
That's
this year
right.
too.
PUBG was another good one. PUBG, man. If there was a game that with the help of Twitch, like put that propelled that game far more sales than it really should, it would be PUBG. PUBG just it's sold so many games, digital copies, and the games haven't done yet. Which is, I mean, to argue, you can argue that it's on for sale. It's a completed game, yada yada, and what I've heard also with the Xbox version that it's pretty rough right now. But the fact that that game has gotten so much attention and so many sales is insane. Like last we talked about, it was like 10 million was sold from its debut, and it's gonna keep growing, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So PUBG was another big one that nobody saw, but like it's just blown out of the water.
Yeah. Well, what we'll have to do, since we only have a minute left, and I don't have a whole, we don't have a lot of time, and I don't have a list. I need to go through all the games that came out this year. We can talk about them in actual a proper conversation.
Right.
But
yeah, my bad. I thought this was the last show before the end of this year, but it turns out no. I'll be back in time for the last one, on
that note, since we only have 30 seconds left, we were discussing the idea of doing a New Year's Eve show where after every topic you and I take a shot, and then the post show is basically us a little drunk.
Wow. I think we can't do that. I think in the TOS we can't do that. We can drink.
No, you can. You can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, as long as we don't get too drunk.
Oh, okay. We got to be somewhat.
It's excessive. It's excessive drinking that's against TOS.
Oh, gotcha.
I learned that because of my birthday incident.
Well, that's good to know. That is good to know. All right. Well, then that may be a thing. If that's gonna happen, I'm gonna have to get some liquor here at the house, which shouldn't be too hard. All right.